The Great Chamber of the Galactic Council was the largest structure Captain Minho had ever seen. It stretched for miles in every direction. Thousands of seats rose up like a mountain around a central platform. Each seat held a delegate from a different alien species. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had no bodies at all, and existed as floating clouds of light. All of them were looking at him. Minho stood alone on the platform. He wore his best uniform. The blue fabric was old and worn at the edges. His boots were polished but cracked. He knew how he must look to these ancient beings. Small, weak, unimportant. He did not care. He had come to save his world. The journey to Nexus Prime had taken 3 months. Earth's fastest ship could barely cross the galaxy in that time. The aliens here could make the same trip in hours. That was just one of many ways humanity was behind. 50 years ago, humans had discovered faster than light travel. They had been so proud. They thought they had joined the stars. Then they learned the truth. The galaxy was old. Very old. Species had been traveling between stars for millions of years. Humanity was not a new member of a great family. Humanity was a child who had wandered into a room full of giants. And now those giants were going to watch that child die. High Counselor Varn sat at the highest point of the chamber. He was tall and thin with gray skin and 6 eyes that never blinked. He ruled the council with absolute authority. His word was law. When he raised one long finger, the chamber fell silent. "The representative from Earth may speak," Varn said. His voice echoed through the massive room. Minho took a breath. He thought of his home. He thought of the blue oceans and green forests. He thought of the cities full of people who were counting on him. He thought of his mother, who had hugged him before he left and told him to be brave. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Minho began. His voice was steady. "I come before you to ask for help. The hegemony has declared war on Earth. Their fleet is already moving toward our system. We have tried to negotiate. They refused. We have tried to surrender. They said they do not want our surrender. They want our extinction." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some delegates leaned forward with interest. Most looked bored. "Earth is young," Minho continued. "We are not as advanced as your great civilizations. We cannot defeat the hegemony alone. But we believe in the ideals of this council. We believe in justice. We believe in protection for the weak. We are asking you to honor those ideals. We are asking you to help us survive." 18. He stopped speaking. Silence filled the chamber. Minho waited. Then Counselor Brix began to laugh. Brix was short and round with green scales and a wide mouth full of sharp teeth. He represented one of the oldest species in the galaxy. His laughter was high and cruel. It echoed off the walls. Soon, other delegates joined him. The laughter spread like a wave until the entire chamber was filled with the sound. Minho stood perfectly still. His face showed nothing. High Counselor Varn did not laugh. He simply watched with his 6 unblinking eyes. "Forgive my colleague," Varn said when the laughter finally died down. "But you must understand how this sounds to us. You are asking the Council to go to war with the hegemony. The hegemony has 10 million warships. Earth has what? 200? 300? 147, Minho said quietly. More laughter. Counselor Brix wiped tears from his eyes. 147, he repeated. That is not a fleet. That is a joke. You humans are clever insects. You found some old technology and figured out how to make it work. Very impressive, but insects do not belong among the stars. We are not insects, Minho said. No? Brix smiled. What are you then? Your species lives for what? 70 years? 80? I have clothes older than your entire civilization. You have existed for the blink of an eye. You will be forgotten in less time than that. Minho felt anger rising in his chest. He pushed it down. Anger would not help his people. I am not asking you to respect us, Minho said. I am asking you to help us. Millions of innocent people will die if the hegemony attacks Earth. Children, families, People who have done nothing wrong. Does that mean nothing to you? Varn sighed. It was the sigh of someone dealing with a child who did not understand simple things. Young human, Varn said. The galaxy is vast. Species rise and fall every day. This is the natural order. The strong survive. The weak do not. If humanity cannot defend itself, then perhaps humanity is not meant to continue. So you will do nothing, Minho said. It was not a question. We will vote, Varn said. That is our way. The vote took less than a minute. Every delegate pressed a button on their chair. The results appeared in the air above the chamber. The count was simple and brutal. 0 votes in favor of helping Earth, over 4,000 votes against. The Council has spoken, Varn announced. Earth's request for assistance is denied. You may return to your world. Human. Enjoy the time you have left. Minho looked around the chamber. Thousands of alien faces looked back at him. Some were amused, some were bored. A few looked sad. One of them, a female with silver skin and kind eyes, seemed troubled. Her name was Ambassador Kella. She represented the Novar species. She had not laughed, but she had also not voted to help. Minho turned to leave. His footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Every eye watched him go. Human, Varn called out. Minho stopped but did not turn around. A word of advice. The hegemony enjoys making examples. If you surrender now, they might make your end quick. It would be the merciful choice. Minho stood very still. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he turned his head. He looked directly at High Counselor Varn. You will remember this day, Minho said. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the entire chamber. All of you will remember this day. You had a chance to show mercy. You chose to laugh instead. When we meet again, I want you to remember that. Varn smiled. When we meet again, you are optimistic, human. There will be no again. Minho said nothing more. He walked out of the chamber. Behind him, the laughter started once more. The sound followed him down the long corridors of Nexus Prime. It followed him to his small, old ship. It followed him into the cold darkness of space, but Minho did not hear the laughter anymore. He was already thinking about what came next. He was thinking about his world. He was thinking about the people who needed him. He was thinking about revenge. The journey home would take 3 months. That was 3 months to plan, 3 months to prepare, 3 months to turn despair into determination. Earth would not die quietly. Earth would not die at all. Captain Minho set his course for home. In his heart, a fire had started burning. It would not go out until the galaxy learned what humanity could do. Captain Minho stood before the United Nations Assembly. Every leader on Earth watched him. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists. All of them waiting to hear what the galaxy had decided. They said no, Minho told them. They laughed at us. They told us to surrender and die. The room was silent. Fear hung in the air like smoke. I told them they would remember this day, Minho continued. I told them they made a mistake. Now we must prove that I was not lying. In the weeks that followed, something remarkable happened. For the first time in human history, the world truly united. There were no more countries, no more borders, no more arguments about who was right and who was wrong. There was only Earth. There was only survival. Admiral Tay took command of the combined military forces. He was an older man with gray hair and steady hands. He had fought in 3 wars during his long career. None of them had prepared him for this, but he did not show fear. Fear was a luxury humanity could not afford. We have 6 months, Admiral Tay told his officers. Maybe less. We need to build a fleet that can fight the hegemony. We need weapons they have never seen. We need to do the impossible. His officers nodded. They knew the odds. They did not care about the odds. Deep beneath the mountains of Korea, Dr. Yuna worked in a secret laboratory. She was young for such an important job, only 32 years old, but she was the smartest person on Earth. Everyone said so. Her mind worked in ways that others could not understand. The laboratory was filled with machines and computers. Hundreds of scientists worked day and night. They ate at their desks. They slept on the floors. They had not seen sunlight in weeks. "Show me again," Dr. Yuna said to her assistant. The assistant pulled up the data on a large screen. It showed equations, complex patterns, mathematical puzzles that had confused the galaxy for millions of years. "The other species gave up on this research long ago," the assistant said. "They said it was impossible. They said the physics did not work." Dr. Yuna smiled. They were wrong. She had found the answer in old human archives, ancient theories from scientists who lived before space travel. These early thinkers had dreamed of folding space, of traveling not through the universe but around it. The galaxy had abandoned these ideas. Humanity had not. Engineer Daesung joined her at the screen. He was a large man with thick arms and a kind face. He built things. That was his gift. Dr. Yuna could imagine the impossible. Daesung could make it real. "If these calculations are correct," Daesung said slowly, "we can build an engine that moves instantly. No travel time, no distance. Just here, and then there." "Yes," Dr. Yuna said. "The quantum fold engine. It will change everything." They worked for 3 months without rest. Daesung built prototype after prototype. Most of them exploded. Some of them simply vanished. But they kept trying. Failure was not an option. Failure meant extinction. On the 93rd day, they succeeded. A small probe disappeared from the laboratory. 1 second later, it reappeared in orbit around Mars. Instant travel across millions of miles. The scientists cheered. Some of them cried. Dr. Yuna did not celebrate. "Now we make it bigger," she said. "Now we make it a weapon." While the scientists worked underground, General Jisoo trained the soldiers above. She was a woman of few words and fierce determination. She had grown up poor. She had fought for everything she had. Now she would fight for her entire species. "The hegemony is stronger than us," General Jisoo told her troops. "They are bigger than us. They have better armor, better ships, more experience. None of that matters." She walked among the rows of soldiers. Young men and women. Old veterans. People from every corner of Earth. All of them wearing the same uniform now. All of them carrying the same flag. "We have something they do not have," General Jisoo said. "We have nothing to lose. Our backs are against the wall. There is no retreat. No surrender. We win or we die. That makes us dangerous. That makes us unpredictable. They have never fought an enemy like us." The soldiers trained harder than any army in history. They learned to fight in zero gravity. They learned to board enemy ships. They learned to survive in the cold vacuum of space. What other species needed years to master, humans learned in weeks. Lieutenant Hana worked on a different kind of weapon. She was Captain Minho's second-in-command. A brilliant tactician with a gift for seeing patterns. She designed the drone swarms. "One human pilot can control 1,000 drones," she explained to Admiralty. "Our reflexes are fast. Our instincts are sharp. We can coordinate attacks in ways the enemy cannot predict." She demonstrated her system. 1,000 tiny machines moved as one. They flew through obstacles. They surrounded targets. They struck from every direction at once. It was beautiful and terrifying. "The hegemony relies on big ships and heavy armor," Lieutenant Hana said. "We will overwhelm them with numbers and speed." Admiralty nodded with approval. "Good. Build more." The months passed quickly. Earth transformed. Factories produced ships around the clock. Scientists created new weapons every week. Soldiers became warriors. A species that had been divided for all of its history became one family. Then the hegemony scouts arrived. They appeared at the edge of the solar system. 3 small ships. They had come to measure the enemy, to count the ships, to plan the invasion. Captain Minho was waiting for them. The Defiance was not the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was the fastest. and it carried the first quantum fold engine designed for combat. Minho took his position on the bridge. Lieutenant Hana stood beside him. "They think we are still the same species they laughed at," Minho said. "They think we are weak and afraid. Let us teach them the truth." The scouts scanned the solar system. They expected to find chaos, fear, a dying world, waiting for the end. Instead, they found 200 warships in perfect formation. Weapons hot, shields raised, ready to fight. Minho opened a communication channel. His message was simple. "You were not invited. Leave now, or do not leave at all." The scouts did not respond. They turned and ran as fast as their engines could carry them. They had seen enough. Warlord Drax received their report on his flagship. He read it 3 times. He did not believe what he was reading. The humans had doubled their fleet. They had weapons the scouts could not identify. They were not afraid. This was impossible. This was a species that had been traveling among the stars for only 50 years. They should have been helpless. "Send the invasion fleet," Warlord Drax ordered. "All of it. I want to see these humans for myself." Across the solar system, Admiral Tay received word of the approaching armada. 3,000 warships. The largest hegemony force assembled in 100 years. He smiled. "Let them come," Admiral Tay said. "We are ready." Humanity had been given 6 months to prepare. They had used every second. Now they would show the galaxy what happened when you pushed a species to the edge of extinction. Now they would fight. The hegemony armada emerged from hyperspace like a dark cloud. 3,000 warships. Each one was massive. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Together, they could burn worlds to ash. Warlord Drax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devastator. It was the largest warship ever built. A mountain of metal and weapons that had conquered 100 planets. He looked at the small blue dot in the distance. Earth. His next trophy. "Status report," Drax commanded. "The human fleet is holding position near the 8th planet," his officer reported. 200 ships. They are not retreating." Drax laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound. 200 against 3,000. They are either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. The hegemony fleet moved forward. Slowly, confidently. They had done this many times before. They would surround the enemy, cut off all escape routes. Then, they would destroy them piece by piece. It was simple. It was efficient. It always worked. Near Neptune, Admiral Tay watched the enemy approach on the tactical display. Blue dots for his ships. Red dots for the enemy. There were so many red dots that they looked like a sea of blood. "All captains." Admiral Tay spoke into the fleet-wide channel. "You know why we are here. You know what we are fighting for. Today, we write a new chapter in human history. Today we show the galaxy that we will not go quietly." On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Minho listened to the Admiral's words. His crew worked around him. Good people. Brave people. People who had volunteered to be on the front line. Lieutenant Hana stood at her console. Her fingers moved across the controls. 10,000 drones were ready to launch at her command. 10,000 weapons controlled by her mind. "Captain," she said, "the enemy fleet is entering optimal range." Minho nodded. He felt calm. Strange how calm he felt. Perhaps it was because there was no more uncertainty. No more waiting. The moment had finally come. "All ships," Admiral Tay's voice came through the speakers. "Execute attack pattern Alpha." The human fleet did something the hegemony had never seen before. Instead of holding position or retreating, they attacked. 200 ships flew directly toward 3,000. Warlord Drax frowned. "What are they doing? This is suicide." Then the human ships disappeared. One moment they were there. The next moment they were gone. No flash of hyperspace. No trail of engines. Simply gone. "Where are they?" Drax demanded. "Find them." Alarms screamed across the hegemony fleet. The human ships had reappeared. Not in front of the armada. Behind it. Inside it. Everywhere at once, the Defiance materialized directly behind a hegemony cruiser. Before the enemy could react, Minho's ship fired. Railgun rounds tore through the cruiser's hull. Explosions bloomed in the darkness of space. Fold, jump, Minho ordered. New position. The Defiance vanished again. It appeared 3 kilometers away, behind another target. Fire. Vanish. Appear. Fire. The ship was never in one place long enough for the enemy to aim. All across the battle, human ships did the same thing. They blinked in and out of existence like ghosts. The hegemony weapons fired at empty space. Their targeting systems could not track something that was not there. Lieutenant Haina launched the drone swarms. 10,000 small machines poured out of the human fleet. They moved like a living thing, like a swarm of angry insects. They found the gaps in hegemony armor. They crawled into engine vents. They overloaded shield generators. A massive hegemony battleship tried to turn its weapons on the swarm. The drones simply split apart and reformed behind it. The battleship's engines exploded. It drifted helplessly in space. "This is impossible," Drax hissed. Impossible. He had never seen technology like this. The quantum fold engines broke every rule of space combat. You could not fight an enemy who would not stay in one place. You could not defend against attacks that came from everywhere at once. General Jisoo led the boarding teams. Human Marines in powered exoskeletons flew through space. They landed on enemy ships and cut through the hulls. The fighting inside was brutal and close. Hegemony soldiers were bigger than humans. Stronger. Their armor was thicker. But humans were faster. Humans adapted. When one tactic failed, they tried another. They never gave up. They never surrendered. Jisoo herself led the assault on a hegemony carrier. Her team of 50 Marines faced 200 enemy soldiers. It should have been a massacre. It was. Just not the kind the hegemony expected. Jisoo moved through the enemy like a storm. Her rifle never stopped firing. Her blade cut through armor like paper. When a hegemony officer tried to crush her with his massive fists, she ducked under his swing and drove her knife through the gap in his helmet. "Push forward," she commanded her team. "Take the bridge." They took the bridge. They took the entire ship. The battle lasted for 18 hours. 18 hours of chaos and fire and death. The human fleet danced through the hegemony armada, like lightning through clouds. They struck. They vanished. They struck again. When the sun rose on the far side of Neptune, the battle was over. Warlord Drax looked at the damage reports. He could not believe what he was seeing. Over 1,500 ships destroyed. Another 300 disabled. Half his fleet was gone. He had lost half his fleet to 200 human ships. "Retreat," Drax ordered. The word tasted like poison in his mouth. All ships retreat. The surviving hegemony vessels turned and fled. They ran from the small blue planet. They ran from the impossible humans. They ran. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Minho watched the enemy go. His ship was damaged. Scorch marks covered the hull. 3 of his crew were dead. But they had won. Against all odds, they had won. "Admiral," Minho spoke into the communication channel. "The enemy is retreating." Admiral Tay's voice came back strong and proud. "Well done, Captain. Well done, everyone. Today we proved that humanity will not die quietly." Earth had lost 60 ships. Over 2,000 brave men and women had given their lives. It was a terrible cost. But they had faced an enemy 15 times their size, and they had won. Across the galaxy, the news spread like fire. The hegemony had been defeated. By humans. By the species the Galactic Council had called insects. By the small, weak, young people from the little blue planet. High Counselor Varn heard the reports on Nexus Prime. He sat in his chambers and read them again and again. The humans had technology that should not exist. They had tactics that broke every rule of warfare. They had won a battle that should have been impossible. "What have we done?" he whispered to himself. "What did we create?" By laughing at humanity, by refusing to help, the Council had forced Earth to stand alone. And in standing alone, humanity had become something new. Something dangerous, something the galaxy had never seen before. On Earth, the celebrations lasted for days. People danced in the streets. They hugged strangers. They cried tears of joy and relief. They had faced extinction and they had survived. But Captain Minho did not celebrate. He knew this was not the end. Warlord Drax would return. The hegemony would send more ships. The real battle was still coming. Humanity had won the first round. Now they had to prepare for the next. The storm was just beginning. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Delegates shouted at each other. Fists pounded on tables. The calm and dignified assembly had become a war zone of words and accusations. At the center of it all stood Captain Minho and Dr. Yuna. They had returned to Nexus Prime. But this time, no one was laughing. High Counselor Varn tried to restore order. He raised his hand. He demanded silence. No one listened. For the first time in centuries, the Council had lost control. "This is your fault," a delegate screamed at Varn. "You told us humans were nothing. You told us to ignore them. They have weapons we do not understand." Another delegate shouted. "They should not have such technology. It is dangerous." Warlord Drax stood before the assembly. His face was dark with shame and anger. Half his fleet was destroyed. His reputation was ruined. He had come to the Council to demand justice. "These humans must be stopped," Drax declared. "They are a threat to every species in the galaxy. The Council must act. Sanction them. Blockade them. Do something." Counselor Brix, the same delegate who had called humans insects, now pointed a trembling finger at Minho. "You must give us this technology. You must share it with the Council. It is too dangerous for such a primitive species to possess." Minho looked at Brix. He remembered the laughter. He remembered the mockery. He remembered standing alone on this platform while thousands of aliens told him that his people deserved to die. "No," Minho said simply. The chamber exploded with noise again. Dr. Yuna stepped forward. She was small compared to most of the aliens in the room, but her voice was clear and strong. "We came to you for help," she said. "We asked for protection. You refused. You laughed at us. You told us to surrender and die." She paused and looked around the chamber. "We did not surrender. We did not die. We survived. We created technology that your scientists said was impossible. We defeated an enemy that should have destroyed us." She held up a small device. Data scrolled across its surface. "This is our quantum fold technology, Doctor," Yuna continued. "It allows instant travel across any distance. We built it in 6 months. 6 months, while facing extinction. Imagine what we could do in 6 years. Or 60. The chamber fell silent. The delegates understood what she was saying. Humanity was not going to stop advancing. Humanity was not going to slow down. The species they had dismissed as insects was evolving faster than anyone thought possible. "We are willing to share this technology, Doctor," Yuna said. "We are willing to be partners, allies, friends." She looked directly at Varn. "But we will not be slaves. We will not beg. We asked for respect once and you denied us. Now we are offering cooperation. The choice is yours." Ambassador Kella stood. She was the delegate with silver skin who had not laughed during Minho's first visit. Her people, the Novar, were one of the oldest races in the galaxy. When she spoke, others listened. "I must say something," Kella announced. "When the humans came to us before, I stayed silent. I was ashamed then. I am more ashamed now." She looked at Minho with sad eyes. "We failed you. I failed you. The Council talks about justice and protection, but when you needed both, we gave you nothing but mockery." She turned to face the other delegates. "The humans did nothing wrong. They discovered space travel. They explored the stars. They asked for help against an aggressive enemy. These are not crimes. We made them into enemies by treating them like dirt. Counselor Brix tried to interrupt. Kella silenced him with a look. The Novar will not support any action against Earth, Kella declared. We will not join sanctions. We will not join blockades. If the Council wants to punish humanity for the crime of surviving, the Novar will stand against it. The chamber erupted again. Some delegates supported Kella. Others accused her of treason. The Council was splitting apart. Then Warlord Drax made his announcement. Enough, Drax said. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. Everyone fell silent. The Council can argue forever. I will not wait. The hegemony does not need permission from this assembly. He turned to face Minho directly. His eyes burned with hatred. You humiliated me, Drax said. You destroyed half my fleet. You made me look weak. He stepped closer. I command the largest military force in the galaxy. 50,000 warships. 10 million soldiers. Every weapon the hegemony has ever built. He smiled. It was not a friendly smile. All of it is coming to Earth, Drax continued. Every ship. Every soldier. Every gun. We will not make the same mistake twice. We will not send a small force. We will bring everything. And when we are done, there will be nothing left of your world but dust and memory. The chamber was silent. Minho met the warlord's eyes. He did not look away. He did not show fear. You lost half your fleet to 200 of our ships, Minho said quietly. What do you think will happen when you face us again? Drax laughed. Brave words. But bravery will not save you. Nothing will save you. He turned and walked out of the chamber. His boots echoed on the floor. The delegates watched him go in silence. High Counselor Varn finally spoke. His voice was tired. Captain Minho, do you understand what this means? 50,000 warships, the largest force ever assembled. Even with your new technology, you cannot win. Minho looked at the High Counselor. He remembered this alien's face. He remembered the contempt in his 6 eyes when he told humanity to surrender and die. You may be right, Minho said. We may lose. We may all die. But we will not run. We will not hide. We will fight. He turned to look at all the delegates, and when we do, history will remember one thing. We stood alone. We asked for help, and you refused. Whatever happens next, that is on you. He walked toward the exit. Dr. Yuna followed him. Before they reached the door, Ambassador Kella called out, Captain Minho, wait. Minho stopped and turned. Kella walked down from her seat. She stood before him. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she did something no one expected. She bowed her head. The Novar will stand with Earth, Kella said. We will send what ships we can. It will not be many. But you will not fight alone. Minho stared at her. This was more than he had hoped for. More than he had dreamed. Thank you, he said. We will not forget this. Kella raised her head. We owe you much more than this. But it is a start. As Minho and Yuna left the chamber, something changed. Other delegates stood. Representatives from smaller species. Races that the hegemony had bullied for centuries. One by one, they declared their support for Earth. It was not many. A dozen species out of thousands. But it was something. The galaxy was taking sides. The final battle was coming. And humanity would not face it completely alone. Admiral Tay received the news on Earth. 50,000 enemy ships. The full might of the hegemony. It was a force that could destroy stars. He looked out the window at the blue sky. Somewhere up there, his fleet was preparing. His scientists were working. His soldiers were training. 6 months, Admiral Tay said to himself. We have 6 months to do the impossible. Again. And, he smiled. Humanity had done the impossible before. They would do it again. The hegemony fleet arrived like a wall of death. 50,000 warships filled the space around Mars. They blocked out the stars. They darkened the sky. It was the largest military force ever gathered in the history of the galaxy. Warlord Drax stood on the bridge of the Devastator and smiled. This time there would be no mistakes. This time, he had brought enough ships to conquer 10 worlds. The humans had nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Begin the advance, Drax commanded. Destroy everything. On Earth, people looked up at the sky. They knew what was coming. They knew this might be their last day. But they did not panic. They did not cry. They had seen their fleet defeat the enemy before. They believed in their soldiers. They believed in themselves. Admiral Tay stood on the bridge of the orbital station Horizon. 800 human warships formed a line between the enemy and Earth. It was not enough. It would never be enough. But it was everything they had. All ships. Admiral Tay spoke into the fleet channel. This is the moment we have prepared for. This is why we trained. Why we built. Why we sacrificed. His voice was calm and strong. They think numbers will save them. They are wrong. We have something they will never understand. We have each other. We have our world. We have hope. He paused. On every ship, every soldier listened. Today we show them what humanity can do. Today we rise. The battle began. The hegemony fleet advanced in a massive formation. 50,000 ships against 800. The math was simple. The outcome should have been certain. Then Dr. Yuna activated the hammer. It was the weapon she had been building for 6 months. A massive array hidden in the asteroid belt. It did not fire missiles or lasers. It folded space itself. Reality twisted around the hegemony formation. Ships that were kilometers apart suddenly tried to occupy the same point. Metal screamed. Hulls cracked. Engines exploded. Thousands of ships crushed against each other like toys in a giant hand. 20,000 hegemony warships died in a single moment. Warlord Drax felt his flagship shake. Alarms screamed. Damage reports flooded in. He stared at the tactical display in disbelief. 40% of his fleet was gone. In seconds. Without a single shot fired. What happened? He roared. What did they do? No one could answer him. No one understood. The humans had broken the rules of war. Again, Captain Minho led the counterattack. The Defiance burst from hiding and flew straight into the chaos. Behind him, 800 ships followed. All units, Minho commanded. Attack pattern Delta. Hit them while they are confused. No mercy. The human fleet fell upon the stunned hegemony survivors like wolves among sheep. Quantum fold engines allowed them to appear and disappear. Railguns tore through damaged hulls. Drone swarms finished what the big guns started. Lieutenant Hana controlled her swarms with deadly precision. 1,000 drones would surround an enemy ship. They would find every weakness, every crack in the armor, every exposed system. Then they would strike. Death from 1,000 cuts. Enemy battleship disabled, she reported, moving to next target. Good work, Minho replied. Keep the pressure on. The battle spread across the entire solar system. Ships fought around Mars, around Jupiter, around the asteroid belt. There was no front line. There was no safe zone. Only chaos and fire and death. General Jisoo led the boarding assault on the Devastator itself. Her Marines cut through the flagship's hull and poured inside. They had one mission, one target: kill Warlord Drax. The fighting inside was brutal. Hegemony soldiers defended their commander with everything they had. Bodies piled in the corridors. Blood floated in zero gravity. The sound of weapons never stopped. Jisoo pushed forward. She had lost half her team. It did not matter. Nothing mattered except reaching the bridge. When she finally broke through the final door, Warlord Drax was waiting for her. He was huge, 3 meters tall, covered in black armor. In his hands he held a massive blade that glowed with deadly energy. You are the one they call General, Drax said. I expected someone bigger. Jisoo raised her own weapons. A rifle in one hand, a knife in the other. She was small. She was tired. She was covered in blood that was not her own. Size does not matter, she said. Heart does. Drax attacked. He was fast for something so large. His blade cut through the air where Jisoo had been standing. She was not there anymore. She had already moved. They fought across the bridge. Drax had strength. Jisoo had speed. Every time he swung, she dodged. Every time she struck, he blocked. It seemed equal, but Jisoo was not trying to win. She was waiting for the right moment. It came when Drax raised his blade for a killing blow. His chest was exposed for half a second. That was enough. Jisoo threw her knife. It flew true. It found the gap between Drax's armor plates. It buried itself in his heart. The warlord fell. The blade slipped from his fingers. He looked at the small human who had killed him. His eyes showed confusion. He had conquered 100 worlds. He had destroyed entire species, and he had been brought down by a creature half his size. How? Drax whispered. Jisoo stood over him. She was breathing hard. Her body ached. But her voice was steady. "We are humans," she said. "We do not give up. We do not surrender. We fight until we win or we die. That is who we are." Drax closed his eyes. He did not open them again. The news of the warlord's death spread through the hegemony fleet. Their leader was gone. Their ships were burning. Their invasion had become a disaster. The surviving hegemony vessels tried to retreat. Many did not make it. Human ships hunted them across the solar system. Only 10,000 managed to escape into hyperspace. 10,000 out of 50,000. The hegemony would never recover. Their empire would crumble in the years to come. The species they had conquered would rise up. The army they had built would scatter, but that was the future. In the present, there was only victory. On Earth, people emerged from their shelters. They looked up at the sky. The enemy was gone. Their world was safe. They had won. The celebrations lasted for weeks. Every city, every town, every village. People danced and sang and wept with joy. They had faced the end of everything, and they had survived. Captain Minho returned to the Galactic Council one final time. The great chamber was quiet now. No one laughed. No one mocked. The delegates watched him with new eyes. Eyes filled with respect and fear. High Counselor Varn offered Earth a seat on the council. Full membership. Equal standing with the oldest species in the galaxy. Minho considered the offer. He thought about everything that had happened. The laughter, the rejection, the battle, the blood. "No," he said. "We do not want a seat at your table. We want something different." He looked around the chamber, at all the faces watching him. "We propose a new alliance," Minho said. "Not like the council. No masters and servants. No strong and weak. A true partnership of equals. Every species has a voice. Every species has value. We help each other. We protect each other. We grow together." Ambassador Kella was the first to stand. The Novar accept. Others followed. One by one. Species that had been ignored by the council. Species that had been bullied by the hegemony. Species that had watched humanity rise and wanted to rise with them. Within a year, 30 species had joined the new alliance. Within 5 years, 100. The galaxy was changing. The old order was falling. Something new was being born. Dr. Yuna shared the quantum fold technology freely. She asked for nothing in return. Admiral Tay retired to a small house by the sea. General Jisoo became the commander of the Alliance military. Lieutenant Hana took command of the Defiance. And Captain Minho became the first human ambassador to the galaxy. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, where humanity had once been mocked as insects, a new inscription was carved into the wall. It would remain there for 10,000 years, a reminder to all who came after. The words were simple. The message was clear. They rose from one small world. They asked only for respect. When it was denied, they earned it. When threatened with extinction, they became eternal. Remember humanity. Remember what happens when you underestimate the small. The galaxy never forgot, and humanity never stopped rising.